to my channel. So in today's video, I'm just going to get straight into it. Technically, we're still talking about Scream with some news that we got with Neve Campbell. No, as of right now, it's not verified that she's going to be back in the Scream series, in the Scream 7, but she said that she would be open to it, which is good news. So hopefully, as of right now, with no, you know, news of maybe, no news is good news. So as of right now, there is no yes or no of whether it is going to happen, and there is no news that it will happen. But it seems like since Nev said that she would be open, that doesn't mean that she will, but she said she would be open if it's right. So it makes sense because of what they did to her. Not necessarily what, yeah, they did do it to her, where they didn't give her the right amount of money for Scream to appear in Scream 6. As we know, she didn't appear in Scream 6. As I still was like a 1.1%. I was one of those people that thought that maybe she might do like a cameo at the end or something, like with a phone call similar to Scream 5, where Dewey called her and then she's like, "Oh, what's up?" And then that was like a toe, like a, uh what is the right word? I'm trying to think. Like uh where it catch you got like off guard. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, a cliffhanger." There you go. It would be like a nice cliffhanger for Scream 7, but as you know, we didn't get that in Scream 6. We didn't get her at all. We just got a small mention, which I'm so happy that they at least did that, and I was so happy that it was Gail, that Courtney Cox said that, because of anyone, if it was anyone else other than Courtney Cox that said anything, I just think that it would have been dumb, because Gail has been with Sydney through the beginning, along with Dewey. But anyways, with all that being said, there is a chance. I'm not saying it's a high chance, but there is a chance that she may be back for Scream 7 if they are still going to go through with it. Um, and I put that in there because who knows if they will or not, because um, with all the stuff that's been happening the last month or so with Melissa and Jenna and stuff, that they might be kind of holding off for a little bit. And if they're really smart, that if they are going to continue on with the Scream franchise, then they probably should at least really consider, especially how they screwed it over with Melissa and whatnot, that they consider giving Neve what she's owed, because she's the one that started this whole thing. Sure, there's a lot of people who'll be like, okay, we already had like five movies with Sydney in it. If you would even consider one with her in it, because she was only in a few scenes and the story wasn't focused on her really, other than um, you know, her saving Gail and stuff. But in this sense, yes, I can see there are fans that kind of didn't want or don't want the future films to really be focused on Sydney anymore, because and I can see their point, because if we keep having um, a Scream movie with Ghostface and you have Sydney, you already know the ending, that Sydney's going to not die. And of course, just like how she did mention with Dewey, and how she, don't quote me exactly on what she said, but the gist of what she said was that I was so not mad, I was a little upset in a sense that they killed off Dewey in Scream 5. And she even said that he was one of my favorite characters in the series, basically. And to have him gone, it was kind of sad. And she also did say, of course, don't quote me on this, you could probably look for the article online somewhere, that it's understandable though, because not all of these characters are going to live forever. Not all of them are going to survive. But we do know for sure that Sydney is pretty much the one that is going to survive every time you have a Scream slash Ghostface movie. And we didn't have Randy survive in Scream, 2, as we know, and we didn't have Dewey surviving Scream 5. So it's safe to say that there at least are a couple, two prime examples right there, that the um, awesome, what you might call it, mainstay characters did die, because you had Randy in Scream 2, like we said, and Dewey in Scream 5. So it's safe to say that maybe Sydney isn't safe. Maybe there will come a time when maybe she will die. And plus, let's face it, in reality, in movies and in real life, not everyone survives. Everyone will die eventually, whether they get murdered, whether it's natural causes, everyone dies. So, what if maybe she ends up dying? Because what if, as we know, in a lot of these movies, especially the Scream franchise, it's people that you think are your friends or your family, and they turn out to be the killer. And just like, you know, and I said friends and family because you had, the boyfriend in the first one, then you had the family of the first killer, and then you in Scream 3 you had your half brother, and then in Scream 4 not only you do another relative, you do your cousin, and then in Scream 5 it's somebody who idolized the films, blah blah blah. So and that's actually what I do really like about Scream 5, is that it was actually somebody who wasn't necessarily directly related to Sydney. Like, it was somebody that was a fan of the series and wanted the series to continue. And so that is what I actually, one of, if not the main reason why I do like Scream 5, it does give it an edge because it was original and whatnot. And why are motorcycles? It's like a blizzard out there, people. You're gonna die. Sorry. Get distracted easily when we have big flakes of snow coming out here in Utah, and then they go vroom, vroom, vroom on the highway. But anyway, and that's the thing. That's what I found refreshing about number 5, is that yes, you had your Gail and you had your Dewey and you had your Sydney, but it didn't focus on them, and it was actually somebody that wasn't related to anyone actually, and whatnot. And I've noted at first I wasn't the biggest fan of Scream 5, but then the more we watched it and kind of molded over, I'm like, just like that whole example, like it kind of veered away from the original, like 4. And I do like 4, don't get me wrong. And I think I can't remember what my ranking was for 4. But out of all of them, I think Scream 4 was the one that I watched and rewatched the least, mainly because and of course, as I'm mulling it over, I'm getting more and more into that film as well. It's just, it's not necessarily my movie. Like, it is my movie because it belongs in this franchise. But I'm a millennial. Like, I grew up with the original 3. And people, and including myself sometimes, will give Scream 2 and Scream 3 crap, especially Scream 3, because a lot of people do not like Scream 3, and it's one of their least favorite movies in the franchise. I actually adored, and I still adore, Scream 3 to this day. And it's probably the most watched Scream movie that I've seen after the original Scream. I haven't watched, like, and the one after that would be Scream 2. It will be, of course, the original Scream that I watched. Then it'll be Scream 3, actually, that I watched the most after that. And then Scream 2 that I watched the most after that. Partly because I think the main reason why I solely watched Scream 3 just as much as the original is because of two reasons. And this is going to show my age. I already said I'm a millennial, but Scream 3 seemed, and even Scream 2, seemed to be like the only Scream movie at the time that was actually in like Blockbuster, like, or any movie rental business I went to rent movies. And yes, I did, and I actually probably still have it somewhere packed away of my Blockbuster card. Or should I say my dad's? I use my dad's. But that's the thing, is that we would go to a video rental store, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, whichever is your local one. And I even remember we have a Harmons here. Harmons is um, a Utah, what is it, the word? It's a Utah original, I guess. Like it's a grocery store that's pretty much only in Utah. So, anyways, I even remember when they had a video rental store, but they kind of got out of business because streaming and all that, and then movie theaters, as well as we actually had a Blockbuster next door, so they couldn't compete. But it's just seemed like Scream 3 and even Scream 2 was like the only ones in stock. Like it always seemed like Scream 1 was always out, you know, and so on. So the only Scream I could really rent was Scream 3, and if Scream 3 was out and all they had was Scream 2, I'll get Scream 2. But and also cable, like on, I don't know if it was so much on AMC, maybe it was on AMC, but I just know that AMC had that whole like AMC Fear Fest or something, and on AMC Fear Fest, I same thing with that too. Like it was Halloween, like Halloween, the Halloween series. Michael Myers, like the sequels were like the only one. Like of course you have the original Halloween going on there, but then you also had Halloween 4. It seemed like 4 and 5, Halloween 4 and 5 were like always the ones that were always on AMC Fairfest, along with the original, of course. Those three Halloween movies always seem to be on repeat. And correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys grew up watching AMC Fairfest as a millennial or somebody who's older or slightly younger, I'm going to be 36 this year, and I know I don't look it, but anyways, um, anyone else who remembers watching AMC Filler Fest growing up remembers that, let me know in the comments. But it was great. But kind of, I know I'm going back and forth, and I apologize. I'm just kind of excited about this news. I'm not going to, accept it as fact because nothing is set in stone. But hopefully, Nev can get what she deserves and the amount of money that she deserves. But who knows even if she's going to take it and do it because of the stuff that Spyglass has done to Melissa and actually to Nev as well, because they didn't, from, if correct me if I'm wrong as well in the comments, that she didn't get a lot for her, even though like I said she was only in Scream 5 for a few scenes, if that, maybe a total of what, 10 minutes time in the Scream 5. But they weren't willing to give her more money to be in Scream 5, and they weren't willing to give her what she was asking for Scream 6, which is why she didn't do Scream 6. So, anyways, with all that being said, if Spyglass is smart, and if they want to have a good standing and a good series from now on with Scream, then they should do what they know they should do and pay Nev what she deserves. But again, like I said, I don't know if I would want to be in her position if with that whole situation. I don't want to be in that room to have that conversation about when the time comes, because like I would be like, okay, if you're willing to give me the money, then I'll do it. But then at the same time, I would feel guilty because of what they did to Melissa, you know? I just, like I said, I don't know. Like, I'm sure that if she was to talk to Melissa, even though they only did that one movie, even though they did the um, one Scream 5, I'm sure that if she was to talk to Melissa and maybe like say, hey, I just want you to know there's no, bad blood between us. I'm not doing this to spite you. I really am mad about what they did to you. And if you want me to, I will not do the movie. Like, you know, like I said, even though they only did the one movie together, it just seems like with the Scream franchise, it just seems like even though they did only like for example the first movie, even though Billy, Skeet Ulrich was in the first film and was only in the first film. Well, technically he was in the fifth one as well, in the sixth one, as but those are flashbacks. They're actually not like where she would, yeah. But anyway, even though they did that one, they were all like bonded for life. Like that's what I feel when it comes to movies, is that if you have a cast that works so well together and the chemistry is so good and the movie is so good, then that cast just feels like they're going to be friends and friends for life. And I feel like that with all the Scream movies. Like it just seems like they bond so well in the movies together, and that the chemistry is so good. Like for example, I love the first film, like with Sydney and Tatum. Like you wouldn't even like the to me that doesn't seem like acting. Didn't seem like Sydney and Tatum were faking being friends. They generally looked like they were friends. Like it doesn't seem like acting to me. It seemed like both Nev and Rose McGowan were like best buds in real life. Like they were seemed inseparable. You know what I mean? Like they were just had so much fun, and like just seeing the behind the scene pictures and stuff, it just seems like they were always having a blast, and they're just a family, and and that's kind of what I hope that doesn't happen, is that there will be any ill will between, like, Nev and Melissa, especially with what, well, actually, it there was some ill will between Spyglass and Nev first, since they wouldn't give Nev the money she was asking for. And then Spyglass does Melissa dirty by firing her after speaking her mind. So, anyways, with all that being said, I hope that if they can bring her, and it will be all fine and all be water on the bridge, water under the bridge, and that people are okay with it, then sure, mind you, it and at the end of the day, it could be money in people's pockets. Like it could be job opportunities, and that's also what I'm looking at as well. Is that it can be a job opportunity for, especially with the whole writer strike that happened, last year, and so it's we want to make sure that the actors are being paid what they deserved, and that they're actually being treated fairly. And that's kind of also what is, you know, crossing my mind, is that I don't want to have people, actors, to have to turn down roles because of something bad that happened in the past, and so on. So I just hope it all works out, and that hopefully if we can't have Melissa and Jenna, then we can at least go on and move forward and have a Scream movie that I hope that people will like. And sure, a lot of people might be upset if she does come back, if Cindy comes back, if Nev comes back, whatever, because they probably want to move forward for away from Sydney, and her story. But maybe Scream 7 can be the start of the end of of Sydney's story. And yeah, sure, with Gail saying, "Oh, she moved on, she's safe now with Mark and the kids," and blah blah blah, and Scream 6. But they're always, just with these scary movies, like with Halloween, they keep bringing Michael Myers back and so on, and there's going to be a way to bring the people back. And I'm not necessarily, I'm 50-50 on the Stu train, so hopefully maybe they can bring back Stu Mocker. Like, of course he didn't get shot in the head, but he got a TV to the head. And I think that's the point. Like I kind of touched a little bit on this topic on in the last video, but with the whole, even though technically Stu didn't get a gunshot to the head, he at least got something to the head. He got the TV, the big clunky heavy TV set on his head. And then same thing with like Jill. She didn't get shot in the head, but she got electrocuted in the head. It's not the exact same thing as a gunshot, but whatever. But if that's not the case, if that's not the case, and then people are going to go on technicalities and whatnot, and say that both Jill and Stu are alive still in a mental institution somewhere and seeking revenge behind the mental institution bars, then so be it. Because that would also be a good way to bring the story around and have them seek their revenge on Sunny. And then what if they do succeed? What if they actually do killing her? And that's actually another thing I wouldn't mind seeing as well, is seeing what if they do succeed in killing Sydney? Then what? Like, what will happen to them once they seek their revenge on Sydney? Are they going to continue their rampage on other people from Woodsboro? Are they going to kill maybe And I know, like I said, we've heard this from, is it between 3 and 4, or like between 4 and 5? I think it's between 3 and 4, and a deleted scene that in between Scream 3 and Scream 4, Sydney's dad, Neil Prescott, passed away. But what if um what if he's alive? What if they go after Neil again? What if they decide to be like, hey, this is fun? And that's the thing with murderers and killers. Once they go after and kill the person that they really want, it's not like they're going to say, okay, I'm done killing. I'm going to. No, they're going to continue to kill. So who will they kill next, you know? And it'll be kind of interesting to see who they kill after if they decide to kill Sydney. And again, it will be kind of cool to see if maybe Mark ends up being like a third person with both Stu and Jill. And another person that we would, another couple people that we can see if they come, if they come. And I know it would be kind of weird without the Carpenter sisters, but what if we have finally get to meet Christina Carpenter and have her be in the Stu cult? Or what if we have Leslie Mocker, you know, Stu's sister in on it too, for not only revenge um, on Sydney for, you know, not only attempting to kill her brother but also killing her son. Well, I know that Sydney didn't directly kill her son, but it was either there's a debate whether or not Richie or Amber killed um, um, the nephew, but who's to say? It could be either of them. I'm not going to really say one or way or the other, but it could be Amber though, because she was there. It would be kind of stupid to have Richie to go all the way to the bar to kill her, to kill the nephew, because you know Amber was already there. Anyway, um, so that'd be cool to see, maybe have, you know, a brother sister duo if Jill's really dead, you know, and then maybe Christina Carpenter. Like maybe she's like, okay, my girls, I'm done with them. I don't want. I've already been all their lives. I'm just gonna focus on Sydney now. You know, that could be something they can do. But anyways, this video is getting a little long. I want to try to make it a point to make these videos a little bit shorter and not so long and have me talk. So I apologize. So I hope that you folks have a good night, and I hope that you guys can kind of listen to my ramblings, and you guys can type in the comments to see what your thoughts and theories are about this franchise. Should it die? Should it continue on? And hopefully they bring back Nev. Just tell me your thoughts. All right, guys, have a good night.